What's going on YouTube? Today we've got the 2023 Chevy Equinox in the sporty looking RS trim level.
And we want to know what's new for 2023 and is this a good option for the family crossover segment?
Let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's get things started here with our spec dump. So underneath the hood of every single version of the Equinox is going to be a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It does have more power this year. It actually has 5 more horsepower, bringing you to 175 horsepower and 203 pound-feet of torque.
It's going to be routed to the ground via a 6-speed automatic transmission. Front-wheel drive is standard, optional all-wheel drive, and your fuel economy figures are going to be 28 and 27 miles a gallon combined, respectively.
But I'll go ahead and close up the hood here and we'll take a detailed look at the exterior. Now, as you might remember, this Equinox was refreshed last year, and that really changed up the front end design in quite a few ways. Now, before we really get into what we're looking at right now, which is the RS trim level, I do want to mention that for 2023, we have an update, which is offering a Midnight Edition and a Sport Edition added to the LS trim level. So that kind of gives you a little bit more style paired with the most affordable price point in the lineup. But as far as this RS trim level, this is definitely the best looking version of the Equinox in my opinion. And that's because you have all the sporty elements, including a gloss black grille. You've got a darkened chrome that's going to go through this upper portion, black bow tie, and then you've got your RS branding through there. Let's also talk about the headlights. So you'll notice the chrome from the grille does extend into the headlights and kind of splits them into 2 pieces. We do have full LED headlights on all versions of the Equinox, including the daytime running light. And then down below, we have a separated incandescent turn signal indicator. Now, moving around to the rear design of this RS Equinox, just like with the front, you're gonna see a few more sporty elements with that typical Equinox design.
Yeah, so you have a spoiler up top, your exposure wiper, and let's check out our tail lights of this Equinox. Are all 3 elements LED. You know we have to test it. LED brake light, LED turn signal, and we're going to have an incandescent reverse light. So 2 out of 3 elements are LED, so I give Chevy a pretty good score for that. It is worth noting, though, these are the premium taillights that are only standard on the RS and Premier trim levels. Otherwise, they will be fully incandescent. Now, dropping down to the lower areas, we do have some special design touches for RS duty. We have like the smoked chrome going through this area. It's going to be body color even on the very bottom. And as far as your tow rating is concerned, it's going to be able to tow 1,500 pounds, which obviously isn't a ton, but it's just enough for the segment.
The stylish look of the RS continues here at our wheels. So this trim level actually comes standard with the largest wheel in the entire lineup. This is a 19-inch smoked chrome alloy wheel. You're going to have 18-inch alloys standard on the Premier trim level, and actually steps all the way down to 16-inch alloys if you go for that very base LS trim level. Moving on from that, we do have blacked out Equinox branding. And as far as the mirrors are concerned, we do have the optional heating and blind spot monitoring on today's example.
Now, at the side of the Equinox, we're going to have an overall length of 183.1 inches. That's right on par with the vast majority of the segment. And as far as some of the design elements, RS is going to keep it spicy, like we've been talking about throughout the entire exterior. It adds a bunch of blackout elements and makes it look pretty sporty. That's going to continue here at the side. So we have the piano black trim on the lower window surrounds. We also have piano black roof rails up top. Now, this lower area is going to be a matte plastic. I would have liked them to maybe make this piano black. I think it could have looked a little bit better. Now, as far as the safety systems are concerned, this is a family vehicle first and foremost, and Chevy is including 3 out of your 4 active ones as standard equipment. If you want adaptive cruise control, that is optional on the LT trims and higher. But guys, let's go ahead and check out the functional interior.
Now, before we climb inside, let's go ahead and take a look at our key fob. This is the typical older style Chevrolet key fob. You do have standard smart entry on board, which is a nice thing, and we also have remote start as well. To get inside, just press the silver button that will unlock the door. and take a look inside at the cabin. We'll start off by talking about the different material and color choices you have. Of course, they vary by trim level, so you'll have cloth seating on your LS and your LT trim level. When you go for the RS trim level, that's going to get you this cloth seat that you see here with leatherette trim. This was designed not for OCD people because we have this interesting line that's not in the center, but it is a color contrast look, and same for the stitching as well. And you can get optional leather on this. And of course, if you choose the Premier, that will get you standard leather as well. We do have a 10-way power adjusting seat on the LT and above with 2-way lumbar support. But let's go ahead and climb inside. And when you get inside, you will see the Chevy emblems pop up on both of the displays. But let's go ahead and look around at the overall cabin materials. We'll start out over here on our door trim. For the RS trim level, we have a kind of rough rubbery texture through here. It's not exactly a leatherette, but it does have a color contrast stitching. It's going to be hard touch along the top part of the door trim. One touch auto up and down for the driver's window. As we move to the upper dashboard, everything is going to be hard touch through here. We do have leatherette in the center section though, with a perforation design and a stitching detail that kind of runs all through there. And then down here along your console, this will also be hard touch. Everything in here does feel pretty durable though. We'll go ahead and start it up with the standard push button start. But let's move into a first-person perspective for a little bit of a closer look at the details of the cabin. We'll start off, of course, with our gauge cluster. So as you can see, we do have the 4.2-inch multi-function display. This is going to be included on all but the base model. As we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got the typical Equinox design. This aspect has not changed, but you'll notice with the RS trim level, we do have the blacked-out bow tie. We also have leather wrapping. We have the optional steering wheel heating, and the wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping. Next up, let's go ahead and head into interior storage. Opening up our center console here, we have a really large center console. This is a ton of space. It's really deep as well, which means you're going to have plenty of space for the coupons that you carry around with you. That's going to save you all kinds of money. And then you've got your 2 USB ports in there as well. Up in front of that, we have our 2 cup holders. We have another large storage area up there, 2 USB ports inside, and this would be a wireless phone charging pad on just the Premier trim level. Now pulling back to the shifter, do have a traditional style shifter on board. Just pull back for drive. You do have these little toggles to shift manually if you want to do that. We also do have special RS branding on the shifter itself. And when in reverse, you will find a standard backup camera, or on today's example, we have the 360-degree camera system. This is available as an option, of course. And as you can see, we do have a lot of different views that we can choose between, including side view. We can hook up a trailer, things like that. But regardless if you choose this or not, you will have front and rear parking sensors starting at the RS trim level. Back behind the shifter, you do have an electronic parking brake. Now rising on up, we have a dual zone automatic climate control system. This is included on RS and Premier. Nice and simple to use, just adjust the temperature right there with those knobs. You do have some physical controls for your other settings. Additionally, those same 2 trim levels will include the heated seats as standard equipment. Ventilation is available on the Premier, which is something that several vehicles in this class do not offer. Now rising above that to our volume knob, there's 2 different audio systems. We've got the standard 6-speaker sound system. RS and Premier can further option on a Bose sound system if you prefer, but let's go ahead and hear this one. Overall sound quality is fine for the base sound system, but of course if you really care about having rich sound, you'll want to upgrade to that Bose sound system. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the display next. So what you're looking at here is going to be the upgraded 8-inch display. So this is going to be standard on just the Premier trim level, but you can add it to the RS trim level like we have today. All the lower trim levels, those are going to come standard with a 7-inch display instead, so it's going to be a little bit smaller, and also the quality of the display is going to be a little less. As far as the functionality, we are running Android Auto right now. This is running wireless, and that actually goes for both the 7-inch display and the 8-inch display for both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Up top, we have a manual dimming mirror. An auto dimming one is on the Premier trim level. Get some LED lighting, sunglass holder, and a panoramic sunroof is actually going to be available on the LT trim level all the way through the Premier trim level, but as you can see, we have opted not to have that on today's example.
Now this is a family vehicle, so let's hop into the rear seat and see what's up back here. So as far as the space is concerned, 39.9 inches of legroom, 38.5 inches of headroom. Pretty good figures for this segment of vehicle. That's right in line with the vast majority of the competition. Now, of course, I did bring my ruler for our signature knee rooms test. So we do have about 8 inches of space between my knees and the seat back. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9" for reference. Now, as far as some of the features that are going to be in this Equinox, here in the center we do have some vents. They are pretty small, but it is nice that you do have vents. Down below that we have two USB ports. These are the charging variety. And then down below that we have a household style outlet. I'm actually really surprised to see that household outlet thrown in on this model. Now, folding down the center armrest here, we do have two cup holders inside. And you know what? I'm going to do something new and see if you guys like it. Would you guys find it useful to do a middle seat test? I don't know. We'll see about this, see if you guys like this type of thing. But middle seat, the seat bottom is actually really nice on this Equinox. The seat back is harder than a brick. And do keep in mind that you do not have a center headrest here. So I guess you were in the event of a car accident, you would perish. Now, as far as your door trim is concerned, we do have a mostly hard touch door trim here. You do have some more of that rubber material, but you do also have bottle storage down in the very bottom. Now, walking up to the cargo area of the Equinox, we do have a power tailgate, so you just push the button under the lid, and that will open up if you go for an RS trim level. If you go for the Premier, that's going to throw in the hands-free abilities. Now, as far as the space is concerned in this Equinox, we're looking at 29.9 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row seats. If we fold those seats down, you will have about 64 cubic feet of cargo capacity. You do have levers right there on the right side to fold the seats down. 64 cubic feet as a maximum is going to be less than a lot of the rivals. If you're cross-shopping this between RAV4, Rogue, or CR-V, it's going to be about 10 cubic feet less as a maximum, but overall it's a decent amount of space for sure. It's going to be some bigger than like a Mazda CX-5, so it's definitely not the worst. Now, as far as our tape measure test, let's see how much space is from the back of the seat back all the way to the rear of the cargo area. We're looking at about 69 inches. Well, that's a nice number of choice there, but 69 inches, you probably get about a 65-inch flat screen TV in the back of this Equinox. And as far as some of the finishings, up underneath of the floor, we do have a spare tire underneath of this, and then a little bit of underfloor storage as well.
So there was about 60 miles an hour in the RS Equinox. Now, as we mentioned in the spec dump, RS does not mean any additional power, unfortunately. It does still have the same 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. The old 2-liter turbo and the diesel options, those have left us a year or two ago. Of course, you still don't have those for 2023.
Well, I do have an additional 5 horsepower for 2023. Mind blown. In all honesty, guys, you can't really feel the additional 5 horsepower. It's nice to have 5 additional horses under the hood. So, I mean, it's just a nice little benefit Chevy's throwing in this model year, but you're not really going to be able to tell a huge difference between them, that's for sure.
What I feel a lot more is the low-end torque.
Yeah.
Being the turbo engine at 203 pound-feet of torque, that's really quite nice for the segment. It gives you a nice boost off the line. Yeah, definitely say that acceleration is class competitive. Now let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. We do have a 6-speed automatic transmission on board. Yes, it is a 6-speed, which is a little lower than, you know, the 8-speed, that 8 and 10 speeds that you sometimes see in the segment, but also a lot in the segment have a CVT. So I definitely like the traditional feel of this 6-speed automatic. It really helps that it's super smooth, so that you know, you really don't notice any lack of gears or anything, because you put your foot down, shifts really nicely, smoothly, gives you that power you need. So I'm pretty happy with this transmission.
And power is going to be routed to the ground via the front wheels or optional all-wheel drive on all of the trim levels. And as far as your fuel economy is concerned, since we do only have one engine option and front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, you're going to have only 2 fuel economy figures. 25, 30, 27 is with all-wheel drive. That's what we're having today in this tester. It goes up to 26, 31, 28 if you choose front-wheel drive. So no hybrid options. You know, that's something that I definitely would like to see offered on something in this segment, because that is, you know, a very popular choice within the segment. CR-V has hybrid, so does Toyota RAV4 as well. So something that maybe Chevy could add in the future.
Of course, they're working on the full electric version of the Equinox. That won't be long, and then, you know, shortly after that will probably be the next generation of this.
And one of the things that we really like to do at Car Confections is our slam, dunk, and airball. That's our favorite element about a specific vehicle that we're reviewing, and our least favorite element. I want to kick us off by saying the slam dunk, let's keep things nice and positive. The RS has a really nice looking exterior design, and I'm a big fan of the way it looks.
Now on the airball side of things, that's got to be the interior materials. A lot in this segment I've kind of been moving upscale a little bit, and you know, overall that's not really the case with the Equinox. Definitely more utilitarian in terms of the materials. A lot of hard touch plastics that feel kind of cheap.
Yeah. You know, now that we're accelerating here, let's get up to 55 to get our sound level reading. Our official reading going 55 is going to be 58.5 decibels. And as far as how that lands in terms of its competition, that's going to be right in the middle of the pack when it comes to noise level entering into the cabin. Now that we're just kind of cruising along on the highway, though, I do want to talk about your ride quality, because this is a family vehicle first and foremost. So, of course, Chevy has prioritized that. Now, your ride quality is going to be good with this Equinox. Even in RS trim level, this is like the sporty version of the Equinox, and it still has a solid ride quality. It rides very comfortably. I'd say it's very much middle of the pack when it comes to the ride quality, even with the larger 19-inch wheels, and I'd say it'd be even improved upon that if you go for one of the models with smaller wheel options. And I also want to talk about the pricing information for this Equinox. Now, as far as that's concerned, you're going to have relatively competitive prices for this model. So $27,995 is your base point for the LS front-wheel drive model. If you want a higher option like RS model, you're going to be paying more for that. Starts at around $32,000 for that. Now, this particular tester is an RS. We do have a few options on top of that as well, plus the $13,995 destination. We're looking at $35,590 as tested. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2023 Chevy Equinox RS. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decision, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, comment if you would buy one of these Chevy Equinox models. Also, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.